The Ottawa River is a river in the Canadian provinces of Ontario and Quebec. For most of its length, it defines the border between these two provinces. Geography. The river rises from its source in Lake Kapamachigama in the Laurentian Mountains of central Quebec, and flows west to Lake Timiskaming. From there its route has been used to define the interprovincial border with Ontario. From Lake Timiskaming, the river flows southeast to Ottawa and Gatineau, where it tumbles over the Chaudière Falls and further takes in the Rideau and Gatineau rivers. The Ottawa River drains into the Lake of Two Mountains and the St. Lawrence River at Montreal. The river is 1,271 kilometers long. It drains an area of 146,300 square kilometers, 65% in Quebec and the rest in Ontario, with a mean discharge of 1,950 cubic meters per second. The average annual mean water flow measured at Carillon Dam, near the Lake of Two Mountains, is 1,939 cubic meters per second, with average annual extremes of 749 to 5,351 cubic meters per second. Record historic levels since 1964 are a low of 529 cubic meters per second in 2005 and a high of 8,190 cubic meters per second in 1976. The river flows through large areas of deciduous and coniferous forest formed over thousands of years as trees recolonized the Ottawa Valley after the Ice Age. Generally, the coniferous forests occur on old sand plains left by retreating glaciers, or in wetter areas with clay substrate. The deciduous forests, dominated by maple, beech, oak and acacia in more mesic areas with better soil. These primeval forests were occasionally affected by natural fire, mostly started by lightning, which led to increased reproduction by pine and oak, as well as fire barrens and their associated species. The vast areas of pine were exploited by early loggers. Later generations of logging removed hemlock for use in tanning leather, leaving a permanent deficit of hemlock in most forests. Associated with the logging and early settlement were vast wildfires which not only removed the forests, but led to soil erosion. Consequently, nearly all the forests show varying degrees of human disturbance. Tracts of older forest are uncommon, and hence they are considered of considerable importance for conservation. The Ottawa River has large areas of wetlands. Some of the more biologically important wetland areas include the Westmeath Sand Dune Wetland Complex, Mississippi Snai, Breckenridge Nature Reserve, Shirley's Bay, Ottawa Beach, Andrew Hayden Park, Petrie Island, the Duck Islands and Greens Creek. The Westmeath Sand Dune Wetland Complex is significant for its relatively pristine sand dunes, few of which remain along the Ottawa River, and the many associated rare plants. Shirley's Bay has a biologically diverse shoreline alvar, as well as one of the largest silver maple swamps along the river. Like all wetlands, these depend upon the seasonal fluctuations in the water level. High water levels help create and maintain silver maple swamps, while low water periods allow many rare wetland plants to grow on the emerged sand and clay flats. There are 5 principal wetland vegetation types. 1 is swamp, mostly silver maple. There are 4 herbaceous vegetation types, named for the dominant plant species in them: Cypress, Eleocherish, Sparganium and Typha. Which type occurs in a particular location depends upon factors such as substrate type, water depth, ice scour and fertility. Inland, and mostly south of the river, older river channels, which date back to the end of the Ice Age, and no longer have flowing water, have sometimes filled with a different wetland type, peat bog. Examples include Mare Blue and Alfred Bog. Major tributaries include Bonnechera River, Coulon River, Dumwan River, Gatineau River, Kipawa River, Duliva River, Madawaska River, Mattawa River, Mississippi River, Montreal River, Rivière du Nord, Noir River, Petawawa River, Rideau River, Rouge River, South Nation River. Communities along the Ottawa River include geology. The Ottawa River lies in the Ottawa-Bonachera Graben, which is a Mesozoic rift valley that formed 175 million years ago. Much of the river flows through the Canadian Shield, although lower areas flow through limestone plains and glacial deposits. As the glacial ice sheet began to retreat at the end of the last ice age, the Ottawa River Valley, which, along with the St. Lawrence River Valley and Lake Champlain, had been depressed to below sea level by the glacier's weight, filled with sea water. The resulting arm of the ocean is known as the Champlain Sea. Fossil remains of marine life dating 12 to 10,000 years ago have been found in marine clay throughout the region. Sand deposits from this era have produced vast plains, often dominated by pine forests, as well as localized areas of sand dunes, such as Westmeath and Constance Bay. Clay deposits from this period have resulted in areas of poor drainage, large swamps, and peat bogs in some ancient channels of this river. Hence, the distribution of forests and wetlands is very much a product of these past glacial events. Large deposits of immaterial commonly known as leader clay also formed. These deposits become highly unstable after heavy rains. Numerous landslides have occurred as a result. The former site of the town of Lemieux, Ontario collapsed into the South Nation River in 1993. The town's residents had previously been relocated because of the suspected instability of the earth in that location. As the land gradually rose again, the seacoast retreated and the freshwater courses of today took shape. Following the demise of the Champlain Sea, the Ottawa River Valley continued to drain the waters of the emerging Upper Great Lakes Basin through Lake Nipissing and the Mattawa River. Owing to the ongoing uplift of the land, the eastward flow became blocked around 4,000 years ago. Thereafter Lake Nipissing drained westward, through the French River, which later became a link in the historic canoe route to the west. History. As it does to this day, the river played a vital role in life of the Algonquin people, who lived throughout its watershed at contact. The river is called Kitchissippi, meaning Great River, in Anichinabemowin, the Algonquin language. The Algonquin define themselves in terms of their position on the river, referring to themselves as the Omamiwinini, downriver people. Although a majority of the Algonquin First Nation lives in Quebec, the entire Ottawa Valley is Algonquin traditional territory. Present settlement is a result of adaptations made as a result of settler pressures. Some early European explorers, possibly considering the Ottawa River to be more significant than the upper St. Lawrence River, applied the name River Canada to the Ottawa River and the St. Lawrence River below the confluence at Montreal. As the extent of the Great Lakes became clear and the river began to be regarded as a tributary, it was variously known as the Grand River, Great River, or Grand River of the Algonquins before the present name was settled upon. This name change resulted from the Ottawa people's control of the river circa 1685. However, only one band of Ottawa, the Kinanchipirini or Kinouch, ever inhabited the Ottawa Valley. In 1615, Samuel de Champlain and Etienne Brulé, assisted by Algonquin guides, were the first Europeans to travel up the Ottawa River and follow the water route west along the Mattawa and French rivers to the Great Lakes. See Canadian canoe routes. For the following 2 centuries, this route was used by French fur traders, voyageurs and coureurs des bois to Canada's interior. The river posed serious hazards to these travelers. The section near de Rivière used to have spectacular and wild rapids, namely the Rapide de la Vallée, the Trout, the Rapide des Rivières, and the Rapide de la Roche Capitaine. In 1800, explorer Daniel Harmon reported 14 crosses marking the deaths of voyageurs who had drowned in the dangerous waters along this section of the Ottawa. The The main trading posts along the river were Lachine, Fort Coulon, Lac des Allumettes, Mattawa House, where westbound canoes left the river, and Fort Témiscamingue. From Lake Témiscamingue a portage led north to the Abitibi River and James Bay. In the early 19th century, the Ottawa River and its tributaries were used to gain access to large virgin forests of white pine. A booming trade in timber developed, and large rafts of logs were floated down the river. A scattering of small subsistence farming communities developed along the shores of the river to provide manpower for the lumber camps in winter. In 1832, following the War of 1812, the Ottawa River gained strategic importance when the Carillon Canal was completed. Together with the Rideau Canal, the Carillon Canal was constructed to provide an alternate military supply route to Kingston and Lake Ontario, bypassing the route along the St. Lawrence River. Power generation. A pulp and paper mill and several hydroelectric dams have been constructed on the river. In 1950, the dam at Rapides des Joachims was built, forming Holden Lake behind it and thereby submerging the rapids and portages at deux Rivières. These hydro dams have had negative effects upon shoreline and wetland ecosystems, and are thought to also be responsible for the near extermination of American eels, which were once an abundant species in the river, but which are now uncommon. As an economic route, its importance was eclipsed by railroad and highways in the 20th century. It is no longer used for log driving, however, it is still extensively used for recreational boating. Some 20,000 pleasure boaters visit the Carillon Canal annually. Today, Outaouais Herald Emeritus at the Canadian Heraldic Authority is named after the river. Hydroelectric installations on the Upper Ottawa, Lower Ottawa, Ontario Power Generation operates generators 2, 3, 4, and 5 with a capacity of 96 megawatts, and Hydro-Quebec operates generators 6, 7, 8, and 9 with a capacity of 89 megawatts.